Hey, so welcome to the next episode. We took a week off from our minor league careers and talked a little bit about the World Series last week. I got my USA shirt today, so salute to all the veterans out there, and we thank those that have sacrificed their lives before for this great country we got, the USA. So I don't want to say Happy Veterans Day, but a salute to all the veterans out there. But yeah, today we're gonna jump back in. Probably some of the best baseball I ever played in my life in years 2, 3, and 4 in the minors, and kind of what that meant for me, and we'll do the same for Aaron. So we both played for the Blue Jays. Aaron got drafted a year after me, so kind of in some of the same cities. We'll talk about that as well. And then we kind of joined up on the same team in '94. Both had pretty good year. We won't jump ahead to that, but we'll talk a little bit about that tonight as well. And then next week we'll transition into our last years with the Blue Jays and what we did after that and how that process goes when you get released from a team and looking to either get on to a new team within the 30 Major League Baseball teams, minor league programs, or we'll talk a little bit about independent baseball and some of the baseball opportunities overseas next week as well. So the one thing we didn't get to last week, and we'll touch on it real quick, Aaron, Laura, you give us an update on the Santiago's team and your championship.
Yeah, so it was my first, I think I touched on this before, it was my first head coaching experience at the youth level. And one of the best experiences I've ever had. It was so awesome. I had a great group of kids that had great attitudes, and shout out, there's this guy named Coach Ballgame. He's an ambassador with Major League Baseball, a youth baseball ambassador. And I got a hold of all of his information, and he really struck a chord with me, and just about keeping things positive and fun for the kids and making sure they get better. It's just, youth baseball, as we talked about, is gotten too serious too quickly for a lot of kids. Yeah. And in the process of commercializing the game, the youth game with travel baseball and whatnot, we're kind of, sometimes we're overlooking the late bloomer, and those guys get left behind. But long story short, we had a great group. Is 9 and 10-year-olds. We went 11-3. We led the league in pretty much every category except one. We kept it fun. It wasn't serious. I let them be kids, and I think every kid got better, and pretty sure every kid wants to play again next year. Yeah. And those were really my two goals going in. But in the process, we ended up winning 11 out of 14 games, won the regular season. They gave us some rings for that. They had a single elimination playoff game, and we won a game, then we lost in the semis. But that was tough. But overall, just a great experience and a lot of fun.
Yeah. I think you touched on it there. Measurements of success, right? Kids coming back and all wanting to play the next year, right? And then also just enjoying the season, right? And it's a tough game. I mean, we cannot tell you how tough this game is. And for the youth kids, that are out there that want to play in college and professionally, it just gets tougher, and when you're younger, your parents help you through it. As you get older, you got to figure out how to work through it, right? It's you're not going to go 20-0 and 28-0 or 14-0 as a pitcher or hit 400. Those days, as you get older, are few and far in between. There's a couple guys, right? We know Dylan Cruz hit 400 in college, right? If you guys know who Dylan Cruz is, but he made it to the major leagues. I want to say it's something ridiculous. He struck out 15 of his first 20 at-bats in the major leagues or in the minor leagues or whatever, So there's struggles throughout the game, so you got to make it fun, and we can't stress that enough. And that's what we'll transition into that. So my second year, similar to you, Aaron, right now, we talked last time that you just show up in spring training. You don't know anybody. I mean, you're lucky. Maybe you played against a guy or two, and maybe you know a guy from another team, but to be on a minor league team with someone you played with in college or locally is not really common. And so you get into our second season, a lot of the guys you played with the year before. I mean, there's obviously some guys that have gotten released and the team changes a little, but you got a pretty good core of people that are now becoming, lifelong friends and guys that you're going to go to battle with to try to win games, right?
No question, yeah. And then the next year, there's a comfort level because you show up in spring training. It is your first spring training, so there's a lot of there's adjustments there. But a lot of people, a lot of the coaches, but you're still meeting people. A lot of the older, it's a little bit intimidating. You got some older guys playing that, you're coming out of the New York Penn League short season, and then you're thrown into an environment where there's guys, that were in AAA last year, AA. You're older and more mature and in professional baseball for 3, 4, 5 years, and some of them that even have some big league experience. And that part's a little bit intimidating, but also exciting and challenging. And it's like, all right, wow, okay. You look around and you watch guys throw bullpens, and you watch them, throw live BPs and inter squad and whatnot, and it's like it's motivating, and it's like, okay, I got to step up and keep getting better, and but at the same time, you see guys, I'm like, all right, I can do this, and the competitive environment is amazing, and you get better, but then it's also kind of what was kind of surprising, or you get a shock that come 3-4 weeks into the camp, they have to make some releases, and you get you become close to some teammates and you played with that year, the previous year, and you think they're good players, and all of a sudden they get hacked and their career's over, and where do they go from there? And that's kind of eye-opening. And there was a lot that first spring training minor league camp is very interesting and very informative about the game and all many different levels.
Hard process, as you said, right? Some guys get released in the off season, but spring training, everyone knows, 3 days before camp's going to break, this is the day guys are going to get cut, and we're all out on that field. There's multiple fields, right? You're spread around. As pitchers, who knows where you're going to be, right? You're either getting line drives hit if you're doing pitchers fielding practice on the backfield, or running poles, or, and they just call guys in, and that guy's gone forever, right? He comes off the field, clears out his locker, goes out the front door to the hotel and on a plane home, and some of those guys,
you never see him again.
It's tough, and like you said, a lot of really good players. There's just only so many spots, and new guys coming in every year. So
yeah, it's a competitive situation, and it truly brings out the best, I think. And it's kind of sink or swim in some cases, and it challenges you to really get better and be the best you can be.
Yeah, so for me, after that first spring training, I headed to Myrtle Beach. We were the last team to play in Myrtle Beach. Aaron, like I said, a year behind us, played, in the same city, or same league, but the team had moved to Hagerstown. But I started that year 4-0. We were 5-22, and I was 4-0 in a 5-22 team. So, we talk a little bit about confidence and, putting your chest up in spring training. Like, I was feeling pretty good. I mean, probably pitching pretty good, maybe a little bit of luck. I ended up the first half of the season 7-0, like a 1.9 ERA. I got invited to the All-Star game in Columbia, South Carolina. I believe that's your hometown. What a great experience. I was going through some of the baseball cards I had from that All-Star team, and Benji Gill was on that team. Andy Pettit was on that team. I was like, wait a second. I played against Andy Pettit, and I played in the All-Star game with him. But I remember, we talk about, the highs and lows. And so I want to say we are up 2-1. and I came in the fourth or fifth inning, sold out. I mean, great atmosphere for an All-Star game for high A or mid A, whatever it was, and I think I gave up a couple doubles and a couple walks, and all of a sudden we're down like 3-2, and I have bases loaded, and I still haven't gotten an out yet, and I'm like, it's like you said, it's sink or swim. Like, you know, my parents aren't helping me. No one's coming out to help you. Like, you got to get out of this jam. And the Mets cleanup hitter was coming up. I forget who it was, but big guy, hit a lot of home runs. Anyways, I bared down, struck out the next three guys, and got out of it. So thank God, because I think we came back and won the game later. But I definitely, I remember that experience, just having bases loaded, nobody out, so excited to be at the All-Star game. Like, I can't go to an All-Star game and not get one batter out. Like, that's not the way. But anyways, we finished that season. I finished 12-5. We ended up winning the whole thing that year, which was pretty exciting, you know, for a minor league team. We swept through the playoffs, and, you know, we're the South Atlantic champions in 1992. So, you know, really great second year, great group of guys to play with, you know, a number of guys that got some time in the big leagues. So how about your year? So we transferred from Myrtle Beach over to Hagerstown, right?
Right. That was probably a bad trade. Playing. I went to high school in Columbia, and then I played college ball at Clemson. So I was kind of disappointed that the Blue Jays moved out of Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
Anyways, they shifted the team to Hagerstown, Maryland. Hagerstown, I think, was Double-A, the Hagerstown Suns previously for the Baltimore organization, but Eastern League maybe. But then they went to the South Atlantic League, and the Blue Jays went in there, and that was an experience. I was still kind of a nobody, finding my way. You know, I went to New York Penn League as a 43rd rounder, fifth-year senior, and I did very well. Closed. I think I had 7 or 8 saves, a 2 ERA, and a lot of strikeouts. Didn't walk anybody. But at the same time, I was older. I turned 23 that summer, and I was way more polished than the rest of the league. And you know, I should have done well, honestly, and I did. So, anyways, I did well enough to earn a spot the next year. To get a job, and you know, they throw me in the pen in the South Atlantic League, and I had a decent year, not a great year. I think I was basically, you know, I was a little bit older for the league again, you know, but I was left-handed. That was the only thing that was kind of keeping me going. But I had my moments. Overall, my numbers were good. But really, just kind of pitching middle relief, setup. I wasn't one of the primary guys in the bullpen, but I did well enough for them to keep going with me. And we, you know, Jim Nettles was my manager. Darren Balsley was my pitching coach. He ended up having a great career. I think, 10, 12 years in the big leagues with the Padres.
Yeah. And
overall, you learn a lot, and there was ups and downs, but it's all part of the process, and you know, you just get better. And I was kind of doing well enough to hang on at that point.
Yeah.
You know, they had $1,500 invested in me as a fifth-year senior, and I realized at the end of that year, even though my numbers were pretty good, that I was going to have to kind of buckle down and put myself on the radar somehow. You know, if I just had another year, kind of a middling year, just okay, the following year in the Florida State League, you know, who knows? I mean, I could have been casted aside easily. So it was, you know, you keep playing, the competition gets a little bit better at each level, and you got to get better and find ways to get better and push yourself. And the guys that do that, you see guys in the minor leagues that not all, that aren't the most talented that end up being the better big leaguers. You see athletically and talent wise, you see a lot of even some high picks in the minor leagues that they don't turn out to be the best. The best big leaguers all the time. Yeah. So, and then the guys that believe in themselves and get better are kind of overtake them sometimes. So it was interesting and a lot of travel, long bus rides, long card games in the back of the bus. A lot of memories like that. I mean, some of the best memories I have are just, camaraderie, clubhouse, card games, things like that, long bus rides. Those are the things I miss too. And, just the friendships you form. And the tough part, as you said, is a lot of times, guys get traded or released and you never see them again in your life. Some of them, 30 years later on Facebook or something. And that's all you got. But it's fun. It's interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I started the conversation around just second year, just starting to make friends, and you're all in the same boat, right? You want to make it to the major leagues. That's the ultimate goal, right? So you try to make it competitive and friendly, right? You don't want to be stabbing guys in the back. I always took the approach that I wanted everyone else to do well, and I just wanted to do better than them, right? I don't want anyone to fail. I never rooted for my teammates to fail. We wanted to win as a team. In that second year that I was just talking about, we did, right? We had a ton of guys. We had Paul Spolderic, who pitched in the big leagues, I think with Toronto and Seattle. We had Dennis Gray, who was a high round pick out of Long Beach State that I talked about last time. We had Ben Weber, also pitched in the big leagues as a reliever. We had a reliever, Greg Martin, who came down on injury to help us out of the bullpen. So, just really...
Ricardo Jordan would have been that team, right?
No, he wasn't on that team,
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the other two starters that pitched on that team as well. But I can't think of them right now. I don't know why. That's pretty bad. I'm getting old. But, so, we'll fast forward to my third year when Aaron was in Hagerstown. I was down in Dunedin, so the Florida State League. And I was pitching the best baseball in my life. I mean, I think 2-1, low 2 ERA again, ton of strikeouts, almost a strikeout per inning, my first 5 starts. And then I just felt something in my back one game. We were up, 4-0 in the 4th inning. The manager came out. Our pitching coach was on vacation, so coaches do get vacation during the season. And they'll miss some games, and so he wasn't there when I got hurt that day. So the manager came out, and I just said something just didn't feel right. It wasn't my arm, wasn't my shoulder, it was just something in my back. And he's like, let's just get you out. We'll get some heat on it. And I never pitched again that season. I had like a tear in my intercostal muscle in my rib cage in my back. So.
Wow, I don't know that.
Yeah, kind of sad, that, I was feeling, again, coming off the season before with 12 wins, winning the championship, coming into spring training, people start to know who you are because they, again, it's competitive, right? Like, here's the guys that, I remember talking to Scott Brow, who was a really good pitcher with the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
Just people start to know who you are, right? So, but anyways, that season got knocked out, and then jumping ahead to the 4th season, that's where we got to pair up that year, which was kind of cool. your 3rd season in 1994, right, in Dunedin together.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
and so tell us how that season went for you, because you were starting that year, and all of a sudden, right?
Yeah. So funny story. That was kind of a pivotal year for me. As I touched on, after the Hagerstown year, the low A. It was an okay year, not a great year. I had 59, 60 appearances out of the pen, about 80 innings, maybe a 3.5 ERA, decent peripherals, nothing off the charts. And I wasn't a hard thrower, but I got people out, and for the most part. But At the same time, I probably didn't profile. If you're scouting, the scouts sitting in the stands are probably looking at me, looking at an org pitcher, right? And I kind of knew that. I felt like something had to change. I had to take my game to the next level. I probably didn't profile enough as a starter. I didn't, left on left, my breaking ball wasn't probably good enough. So I went home and I just worked my tail off that winter. And the whole time, and I read books. I read Harvey Dorfman's Mental Game of Baseball books. I read it like 5 times, and some other mental books, and I became obsessed. And this the whole off season, and the whole time, I'm wondering, is this all worth it? Is this all worth it? All the sacrifice and the effort I'm putting into this. You don't know, is it worth it or not?
Yeah.
But you know what? I pushed through, and it really was, because I came to spring training, and I felt strong. I remember being on the mound, my very first outing that spring training in '94, and I just felt physically stronger. I just felt like more in control. I felt more in control of my body. I felt like the ball was coming out better, and the feedback said the same from the hitters and the coaches. So, long story short, they throw me in the bullpen in Dunedin. I'm not the guy. I'm not the go-to guy. I'm just another member of the bullpen at that point. But I just threw it well. I remember one time I came in early in a game, middle relief, ended up throwing 4 innings and striking out 8 hitters. And I had a few outings like that. And then by June 1st, I remember Jim Nettles and Bill Monboquette, they came to me. It's like another kid was struggling. The younger prospect was one of the starters was struggling. And they said, hey, we're going to flip-flop you guys for a bit. We're going to throw the other guy into the pen, and you're going to start. So I'll never forget my very first start. It's probably about the 1st of June. I went 5 innings, and I don't know, no runs or 1 run or something, 80 pitches, and it was a big success, 8 or 10 strikeouts, 1 or 2 walks, I can't remember, but it was a great outing, and it was a big success. And then my next start was in Fort Myers, and I took a shutout into the 9th inning. I had a shutout with 2 outs in the 9th inning, and I don't forget, Rob Mumau was playing shortstop, and it was 1st and 3rd with 1 out in the 9th inning. And back then, they don't leave you in there. I mean, back then, I still was under the pitch count. I think the pitch count was maybe 100 or 110. So obviously, it was, I hadn't walked anybody or anything like that. And this day and age, they'll throw you 3 innings and 4 or 5 innings, and they're far more conservative. But back then, this is my second start of my career, and I'm sitting there, and I'm in the 9th inning. It's 5-0, 1st and 3rd, 1 out, and the guy hits a 1-hopper right back to me off of a changeup with big catcher for Fort Myers. I still remember this, and so I do a little shuffle like you're supposed to do, and Mumau is playing it. Rob Mumau, who's now a scout for Seattle, he's been scouting forever. I throw him a changeup that's kind of, I just didn't have a good grip in the ball. I ended up having like a 3-finger grip in the ball. And I kind of turned over a changeup to him, and he kind of reached back. It should have been a 1-6-3, game over. That was my shutout, right? second start of my career. But Mumau had to reach back at second base. We got the out at second, but we couldn't get the out at first. And anyways, a run scored. But I think I got the complete game. But anyways, it all took off from there. I ended up having a great year. I kind of tired at the end with Monboquette trying to get me to throw a cutter. We had some 120 pitch bullpens in the heat of Florida and in the summer in August, but that wouldn't happen these days. But I'm better for him, no complaints, and it was a successful year. I got my name on the map as probably a bit of a sleeper prospect, but I was left-handed. I was turning 25, which is old, but hey, there was a chance there, and it was a fun year. I was loving life, loved being down in Florida. Liked the teammates, liked the coaches, and overall successful 1994 for me.
Yeah, I want to say we both had. I know I had at least 10 wins, and you might have had more, but yeah, I know we both had multiple digit wins that season. So yeah, I found my stats from Howe's Sports Data. They asked to send them to me, and it actually I can, you can't see it, but I can show the people real quick that. Anyways, it's a printout of every game, and I started okay. 5 innings, 2 runs, 6 innings, 2 runs, 5 innings, 2 runs, 6 innings, 2 runs, then 2 innings, 6 runs. We're kind of coming up to the All-Star break, and I just remember, I didn't make the All-Star team that year, and I actually went home. I was 5-3. My ERA was about 3 something. But I wasn't feeling as strong as I had finished before I got hurt, And I was like, I just need to go home and regroup. And I did. Maybe not reading books like you, but mentally just got myself better prepared because physically I always felt like I was good. Maybe I was just being tentative because of my back. And so I remember like the first couple starts after the All-Star break, I want to say I had like a no-hitter into the 5th inning for like 4 straight games or something. Like it was something like crazy like that. But just quick stat lines: 8 innings, 2 runs; 7 innings, 2 runs; 7 innings, 3 runs; 7 innings, 2 runs; 7 innings, no runs; 6 innings, 1 run; 7 innings, no runs. So like a string of like 6 games of going into, like you said, what you don't see today, into the 7th or 8th inning, and just really finish that season strong. But it really goes to tell you it's not always just physical, right? It's, whether you're reading a mental book like you did, or me just saying, I just need to change the scenery. I'm going to fly home. We have 3 days for the All-Star break. Sometimes we just stay around, but I'm like, I'm going home. I need to go home. I just need to switch things up and see my family or whatever, and then come back ready to go 3 days later. And I was, and to your point, ended that season with my name on the radar, right? I mean, 23rd round pick or whatever, 3rd season, 6-5, 12-5, 10-6, and with the 1 year with my back, but kind of the injury behind me at that point, and really feeling good going into my 5th season, hoping to make the AA team the following season soon.
Yeah. I remember that you had. I want to say you had double-digit wins. I think I was like 11-3 in early August, and then I kind of tired down the stretch. And ended up 11-6, and we were kind of in a dogfight to lead the team in innings, or we were up there with leading the league in wins as well. Leading the team in wins. But Brandow, I think he had a good year. Jose Pett was in that rotation. I know Angel Martinez was on that team. Mike Coolball. It was a lot of good dudes. Guys you just friends with, and to this day, a lot of them. And DJ Boston, Santiago Henry. Just I have a lot of good memories. I just remember it like it was last week. But it was kind of like for me. It was the year I kind of realized, okay, I can do this. I have a chance.
Yeah, we're close at that point, right? And next season,
exactly. You start performing at high A, and it's like, all right, I can do this. I can play this game a little bit. I have a chance. Let me see what AA I can do in AA. That high A to AA weeds a lot of people out, but you don't know until it happens. Really, nobody does really. The organization doesn't, and the organization doesn't know who's going to get to AA and perform and who's not. They're there to develop us and make us the best possible pitchers and prospects that we can be. it's all a journey, and I got to 24, 25, and realized, I use this in scouting too a lot because it pertains to left-handed pitchers, and I see it a lot now. It's a lot of lefties, they kind of hit their stride later for some reason, and nobody knows why. And nobody knows why they're tougher to hit in certain circumstances. But sometimes lefties, they're kind of generic in college, and then they get going and they don't hit their stride till 24, 25, and they pick up some velocity or whatever it is. I don't know. But I've seen lefties in college where, look fairly ordinary, be late round picks, and you turn the TV on 4 years later and they're in the big leagues.
Yeah.
And it's like they tend to do better than you think.
Yeah.
For
And you were
reason.
still maturing, right? So not just mentally, but you're still maturing, right? Not just mentally, but physically too, right? I mean, they say you don't physically fully mature until you're about 25 years old. So, don't.
Right.
I tell people, don't give up, right? Like
Right.
I lifted hard.
Pitchers especially.
Yeah.
Pitchers.
Yeah. And you're learning, right? As a pitcher, every year you're facing better hitters. You're learning how to adapt. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So I brought some bats here. You can't see them, but you talked about Mike Coolball. So these, I tried to give these to his kids. I had reached out. Poor Mike Coolball, for those who don't know, is a teammate of ours he's the player that tragically got killed on the line drive. He had just started coaching after, I want to say 18 years in the minors and a little bit of time in the big leagues. So I saw his sons on TV, and I tried to reach out through the Little League organization to his wife, and I thought maybe his kids. So, hey, if they're out there and they see this and you want your dad's bats, I gladly give them up. Here's the Cooper bats back then, right? Here's a black one that he gave me. I don't know how these bats would do. My kids have hit with them a little bit, and here's just a regular tan Cooper. Probably not as good
I still have a Cooper somewhere.
I got 3 of them here that I'm showing. This professional 110 model or something that Mike hit that he gave to me. And then I got one other surprise here that you'll have to see in the video later. I got some game pants that, I don't know if we were supposed to take them or not, but you can see on the inside here, they had the name on them. So these are guys that were in spring training, and then sometimes we'd get their pants, their extras or whatever. And anyways, this pair of pants is Angel Martinez pants. So I got a pair of pants from Angel Martinez. And then I got one pair here, a gray Blue Jays pair. I got lucky. I think I told the story, my first spring training. I was in spring training. I got to pair up with Al Leiter. So I also got Al Leiter's spring training pants here as well. So, again, I don't know if I'm supposed to have them. I don't think the Blue Jays are going to come after me 30 years later. But
No.
anyways, like we said, some good memories, and got some good memorabilia here, from it. Wouldn't trade it for anything. So, you got any good stuff? Maybe you can bring it next time.
I remember they would. Yeah, I still have a few pairs of pants. I think the white ones and the gray ones in the closet somewhere, and a couple of spring training jerseys as well. I think they would let us take those at the end.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I got one of those here too.
Yeah.
Wasn't my number at the time, but number 8 coats there. Yeah, good times, right? Well, we're talking about the good times. Next time we'll probably talk about, maybe it starts to transition to get a little harder, right? We both had a pretty good season, and then the next season, the strike year, 1995. So we can get into that a little bit. And, and again, for those of you guys are watching, I'd love you guys to subscribe. And, after we finish up these next couple weeks about how our season's winded down and some of the additional baseball opportunities that are out there, definitely talk about anything that you guys want to hear about. So just put it in the comments, and me and Aaron can compare to kind of talk about those things that you guys want to hear about that journey. And again, Aaron can't share any trade secrets, but he can definitely give a really great perspective from what scouts are looking for from, you know, young high school players and college players. So,
No doubt.
yeah.
That's great. Enjoyed it, and as always, and looking forward to the next one.
All right. Have a good night. Thanks.
Okay.